All right, we're back with Council Ward 4. So candidates, if I may, from my left, your right, let's go ahead and begin with your 1-minute bio.
My name is Mike Mayberry, and I'm running for Henderson City Council Ward 4. I was born and raised in Las Vegas Valley. I have lived in Henderson my entire adult life and served that community on the police department for 29 years. It was always my intent to make Henderson a safer place to live and to raise a family. I raised my kids there. I sent my kids to school there. I coached them all in sports there throughout the years. And I rose through the ranks from reserve officer to police chief in 23 years. The last 6 years I was on the police department. I was the chief of police. And I was able to, I believe, have some effect on the safety in our community. I've been on the Homeland Security Commission, appointed by Governor Gwynn, and held other leadership positions in law enforcement. I would just close by saying that I've always served the community, and I will continue to do so. Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Brislin. I am a candidate for City Council, Henderson City Council Ward 4. My family's been here for 5 generations all total, including my little girl and boy. I went to public schools. I went to UNLV, joined the Army. I was in the Army for about 11 years, between active and reserve. I was a tanker, so one of our favorite sayings was our job is to blow stuff up for a living. It's a good job for a boy. Then I went to financial advising, was with Merrill Lynch for years, and we did, our family was very fortunate. I do general consulting now and independent, and it really led me to why I got into this race. A lot of friends, a lot of clients, friends really, that have businesses, have their family home, their investment homes, their businesses, their storefronts are drying up, and I've helped them over the years with those kind of things, and now when the time comes to be able to help from the city's perspective, I think if you have the ability to serve, you should feel the obligation to serve. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ron Hubel. I'm a resident of Henderson since 1947. I grew up in a business environment. My father had the first radio television shop in Victory Village, which is where the Walmart is on Lake Mead right now, in 1953 when television first came on the air. I've been a former city councilman, 1983 through 87. I've been on the planning commission, served the senior citizens board during that time, all 4 years. I have the experience necessary for the times that we're in now. When I was elected before, it was a growth pattern. Henderson hit its 4 largest growth years at 20% above each year. Now we're looking at the reverse situation. I know how to operate in both situations. I've run businesses, 2 personal businesses in Henderson. My wife has a small business right now. I've worked for large corporations in Las Vegas and family businesses as well. So I have the background to do this job. The city of Henderson's budget is $13 million upside down right now and heading downward. And it's going to take some tough decisions to turn that around and get it operating correctly. Thank you.
Don Woodbury, Vice President of Veterans and Politics. This question is for the entire panel, and I'm curious what it is that you plan to do once elected to basically bring the budget into par.
Again, 1-minute answers. This will be on YouTube and on Facebook. You can add afterwards, but please keep your answers down to a minute.
One of the things that I see as a problem in Henderson is that there's a certain amount of, difficulty with transparency. There's been a lot of old boys network where we continue to do the same things that we've always been doing for a long time. And I think that we need to look at the problems in Henderson with a fresh perspective, with, an unbiased view maybe. It's very hard to go in and look at some of the things that we could improve and see it as something that would be outside the normal policy. I would say that we need to get in there and look at ways to improve the city government from a business perspective. The things that are more oriented toward what will help business in the area rather than just what we've always done. Thanks.
Ron,
When I put this up, that means they got
I
10 seconds.
believe you're up next.
So far in this campaign, I haven't heard a candidate say one word of how they're going to correct that situation. I've been the only one to make that statement. There's no question that the reason why the city is upside down is because of retirement funding. Right now, police and firemen get 40%. They average $100,000 a year income, and the taxpayers in the city of Henderson pay 40% of their wages into their retirement fund. In non-police and firemen, non-public safety personnel, it's 24%. It just went up 2% this year. The problem is that the city is already, because of budgetary losses, set back 222 people in the last 2 years. So that's 222 people less paying into the retirement fund, and more people coming into the retirement fund every year from all those boom growth years that we had, especially during that tenure when I was a past councilman. No one wants to address that situation and talk truthfully about it. It cannot continue. It's unsustainable. It's a Ponzi scheme that doesn't work, and it needs to stop with new employees, and I believe we should honor it with employees that are currently under it. I believe in honoring my contracts, but it needs to stop now for future employees.
Mike Mayberry. You know, I ran the largest department in the city for a number of years, and I understand the city budget. Now, currently, Henderson actually is in pretty good shape, and one of the reasons that it is in pretty good shape as a city is because the unions 2.5 years ago had good enough relationships with city management to actually come and meet with them, voluntarily open their contracts, and take cuts in benefits and in wages to help balance the budget. In addition to that, we have done things like had a hiring freeze, we have restricted travel and training, but there's been a number of things that we have done to address our budget issues, and we are in very good shape. We have a $529 million budget, and we're $13 to $18 million in the hole. If you can't fix that, then you're not a very good budgeter.
Lulabella Veterans in Politics. I'd like to start with Mike Mayberry and have everyone follow suit. My question is this. Police and veterans have a special relationship, a special bond. Is there anything that Henderson Police makes their recruits or continuing education for their officers, a program that they have to deal with or they have to go through that would give them more tools to deal with veterans when they come across them on a traffic incident, whether it's a domestic, whether it's speeding, any type of interaction where they might say to themselves, okay, let me ask first if this is a veteran, let me give them a little different spiel than I might somebody else. Is there any type of program that Henderson Police is actively involved in that lets officers know how to better deal with veterans? Thank you.
Well, my honest answer to that question is I don't know. I do remember what it was like to be the police chief in a town where the retired police chief was in my business all the time, and I know that I didn't appreciate that much. And so what I have done is I have stayed out of the business of the current police chief. So what she's doing right now, I don't know. I will tell you this, when I was first on the police department back in the 70s, we did receive training for that very thing. We had a lot of Vietnam veterans who had some difficulties. They had gone through a very difficult time, and they hadn't been very well received back into society. And I will tell you that we tried to give them, we actually had training where we tried to give them the benefit of the doubt and tried to take into consideration, you know, is this a good guy going through a difficult time, and what can we do to help him? So what's currently going on now, I honestly can't speak to, and that is on purpose. But I can tell you in the past, I have been a part of it.
I think it would be a good idea to offer a certain amount of training so that everyone is sympathetic on the police force, and any other department would be sympathetic to the things that military goes through, military families and the soldiers go through. But at the same time, I'm concerned that there shouldn't be any sort of special or preferential treatment given to the military, and quite honestly, I don't think we're asking for it. We just want people who understand and can be sympathetic and can maybe help us fairly. I think that it's not something that we're not asking for special treatment. If I understood your question right. We just want it to
Maybe
be
a different
fair.
tact. I'm not saying any legally different treatment, just, you wouldn't go arrest another councilman or the chief of police, even if you had to in a disrespectful manner. I'm sure you would still present it differently than just pulling over some random person that you didn't know. My issue.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. In fact, I think the police force has been doing a pretty good job as far as, when I've been pulled over, it was twice in the last 15 years, and we usually come up with the whole military story, and we start talking about this and that, and it's been very friendly, and I've had no problems. That's not to say that my experience is what everyone experiences, but if we could maybe work toward just a better understanding with some classes possibly, but I really don't see that it's something that's, with all the things that are happening, I don't think we need to focus on that. I think we're doing a pretty good job, honestly.
My name is Ron Hubel. I agree with Mike. The answer that he gave was very honest, and my answer is basically the same. I'm not aware of any. But having been a city councilman back in '83 and '87, again, this is where having history helps you out. There was no group like yours coming to us and suggesting that any such thing be done. And even in those days, we were right close to the Vietnam War exit time after the late 70s. So, having you enforce right now and having you look at these type of situations and possibly coming to us with presentations or suggestions, I think they'd be looked on very favorably. But it's kind of a sad thing when you look back at it now and say, where was everybody in those days maybe coming up with these kind of ideas? But it's never too late. If you start now, that's better than never getting started.
Thank you.
Laura Davidson, Treasurer of Veterans and Politics. My question is, Henderson recently lost Zappos as the online retailer to Las Vegas. Las Vegas ended up spending $5.5 million on incentives as well as waiving their $20,000 licensing fee. How do you plan, if elected, to increase business diversity as well as bring businesses in?
Am I still first, or are we going to give Ron?
It doesn't matter who wants to take it.
Ron, you want to
Whoever
go?
wants to take it.
I'll be happy to tell you. My name is Ron Hubel. Nobody gained on moving Zappos from Henderson to Las Vegas. Maybe Las Vegas gained, but they lost a lot of money trying to gain. So maybe they think they're going to win on the long term. The Valley still maintains the employees and the tax base. However, each entity has to supply its own self with its own tax base, so Henderson did lose. What would we do in the future? I think we have to come up with certain incentives, but you have to understand one thing. Economic development right now is based on a national theme, and the national theme right now is, I've got money, I've got over $2.5 billion I'm sitting on out there, and I'm not going to spend it right now because I don't know how much it's going to cost me. I don't know how much my health care bill is going to be. I don't know where my taxes are going. And until I get stability, I'm not going to take money out of my pocket because it's mine. I own it. It's my money, and I'll decide when I spend it. And that's the attitude of current business. And when you can break that and get them to start spending on national scene, it'll be easy to bring them in on a local scene.
John Brislin. The things that I see are businesses that are around the country that are having problems. I would say maybe you could look at the tax rates in California and New York and how in good times they can survive without too many complaints. But when the times get tough and there isn't, everybody's going on just bare bones budgets, these businesses are looking to survive, and they're looking to go to an area that is more tax friendly, more business friendly. It's got the quality of life that they are looking for, and they will move. And why let them go to Atlanta and Phoenix and Seattle when we can bring them here? They'll bring the jobs with them, and if we need to make some sort of agreements with them, there are things we could do. I'm not a big fan of the tax incentives, but we could set up something where we could give them a certain incentive in the beginning, and then as they get their footing and get started, then they could pay a little bit more and do a payback process until we've gotten our money back.
Thank you, John. I learned a long time ago, if you don't know all the facts about everything, you shouldn't really make any direct conclusions upon it. I will say this, it was a huge loss for us to lose Zappos. Exactly how that happened, I'm not sure. I will tell you this, though, a couple of weeks ago, I took a tour of Zappos. And I wanted to talk to the people there, and I wanted to see, because Henderson had something seriously good going on, to get Zappos to come from wherever they were and set up in Henderson, and they thrived in Henderson. How Oscar sold them away, I don't know. But I was struck by, I took a tour with this 25-year-old kid. But I gotta tell you, by the time I was done with that tour, I asked him some questions, and that kid, there was absolutely no doubt in my mind that he said, what we do at Zappos is we make better people. And if that's the attitude that that company has, and they're making better people, they're making better citizens, it really was a shame for us to lose them.
Jess Rose. There is a lot of talks about economy, and unlike the rest of the country, Nevada is no difference as far as the economy is concerned. I'm a surgeon, so healthcare is near and dear to my heart. And my question is, with all this talk about revitalizing Vegas, what's your plan for attracting and recruiting physicians when recently JAMA, which is the Journal of American Medical Association, had recently published that there's a national critical shortage for surgeons and primary care physicians. So how do you plan to recruit physicians to Nevada, to the city of Henderson, and for the vets?
You know, when you're on this campaign cycle, I mean, it's all day and all night, and it is you have meetings and then you have meetings. And I will tell you that I had a meeting with Rod Davis of the Dominican Hospital, and they have some very good things going on here. Now, to be honest, he asked me to not speak about some of the partnerships that they have coming up, but they're going to be big. And I think that we have to now take this attitude that it's everybody's responsibility, not just the city's responsibility, but everybody's responsibility to be involved in community development. And to the extent that the city can work with Rob Davis to bring those doctors here and to do the programs that he wants to do and associate training programs with big name universities, I think you're going to see some of that in the future, and I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised.
That's true. What's going on with St. Rose is a very, very good thing for Henderson. It'd be wonderful for the entire valley. I think that elevating the medical care to a higher and higher level, it should be a focus. Exactly how to do that becomes much more complicated. I don't really think that it's so much a place of the government to get in and try to do that as much as it is just a free market. However, I would say that as things come up, I think the government should clear the way when possible, should expedite things, especially for hospitals and for the medical field, and do whatever it can just on a case-by-case basis. In other words, be a friend to our hospitals. We need our hospitals, we need our medical care for our seniors and our veterans.
Once again, I agree with both of these gentlemen that the St. Rose programs and the growth in the areas that they're working into are going to be fantastic additions to the city and the valley. But beyond that, we've got a national problem with healthcare. It's in debate right now. It's up for question whether it's going to either move forward and head for a single-payer program to save it, or whether it's going to be demolished completely and kind of start over with a whole different set of bills and rules and regs. As it stands right now, doctors are not interested in going anywhere. Doctors are looking at getting out of the business of being doctors, I can tell you that. I managed 3 clinics in this town for 23 years, Industrial Medical Group, which is now Concentric Clinics. Another problem that we have in this valley with medical centers is we have a county medical provider who is taking the place of private enterprise, and they're losing money doing it. So we're paying for that as taxpayers. But we do have incentives built in through our hospitals and that to bring in, recruit, and we do have some good training schools in the city of Henderson for physicians, assistants, and pharmacists as well.
During the campaign process, Chris Miller with the Madison Press. During the campaign process, most candidates do a really effective job of being out in the community, walking their districts, trying to get voters to vote for them. What do you plan to do after elected to stay in touch with your constituents?
You know, when I was the police chief, I have to tell you that every time we had a DARE graduation, I was there. I brought the Every 15 Minutes program where they deal with alcohol and student driving to all of the high schools in Henderson. I was part of teaching in the leadership program in Henderson's leadership program. I went to everything publicly that I possibly could be because I thought it was, you know, the job of for the citizens is for the police chief to be available to the citizens. My door was always open. And I forged partnerships with all of the other law enforcement agencies in the valley. And actually, just kind of by attrition, because I came up with Keller, and Keller kind of mentored me. And then when he decided not to run again, I worked with the other sheriffs, and I wound up being the leader of the local law enforcement committee and the leader of the Nevada Sheriffs and Chiefs Association. So I would say that you're going to see me in the community a lot if I'm fortunate enough to be elected.
John Brislin. I also think that that's a good idea. You see me in the community a lot right now. There's nothing about that that's going to change. The reason that I've always believed that if you wait for people to come to you, whether it's anything from a town hall to a meet and greet to anything, there's a certain mentality, a certain opinion that comes to you. You can get a different, possibly more sincere, at least, well, just an honest view of what people are thinking when you go to them, when you go to their house and talk to them. And when in the office, if you sit in your office and let people come to you to tell you how the world is, the secondhand bias will kill you. You've got to get out into the community and listen to what people are saying. You've got the opinions that you'll hear aren't what you would think when you start off. And I'm doing that right now, every single day, and I'm continue to do that every single day when elected. Thanks.
Again, my name is Ron Hubel. Once again, as I stated, experience certainly helps. I know for a fact that I'm a former member of Rotary. I visit the Rotary clubs, and I have the time now. I'm semi-retired. I don't work a full-time 8-hour-a-day job anymore. And I have the time to go to Rotary clubs. I have the time to go to various breakfasts that groups hold. I have the time to go to chamber meetings and participate with them. And these are a lot of the business movers, doers, and shakers of the community, as they say. And that's nice. But I have time to go to the Senior Citizen Center, too, and eat lunch and sit down with seniors and just chat with them. I have a chance to go to their meetings and talk. I also know of a lot of groups that meet in town, as well as homeowners associations, and I always notify them that I'm available to come and speak at their groups at any time. Or I just like to be invited and kind of pay attention and see what's going on with their groups, and I make myself available for those kind of things. Thank you.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you, Ward 4, for showing up. And if y'all need to add anything to any of the statements you've made before, as previously stated, the YouTubes will be on the Veterans of Politics Facebook page, and you can run volumes there. So thank you for coming out, and we're going to go ahead and take a 2-minute break, and we will be back with Ward 1.
Mention who I am?
No, you were like Veterans of Politics.
All right.
Since he's not allowed to do it, his name is Joseph Simmons, and he's a candidate for Ward 4.
I appreciate that. That's kindness since I made it this
far. What I was talking about was
time.
introduce yourself to the panel members down here when we're done, which we are done with this one. So
Thank you all very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll say this much.
Introduction.
You three here are some of the most knowledgeable on your respective wards. Everybody we've covered so far, and it includes the city of Las Vegas. EOs and
Thank you very much.
It's tough on us. Really,